Okay, we are now going to move on to another section of the document. This next section is about common labor. So we're moving from the part dealing with common goods to another part dealing with common labor. Again, it's divided into several different articles. Article 1 states, every member of the national community owes it the agricultural labor and the useful arts of which he is capable. Okay, so basically, if you're part of this community, you owe it to this new community, your agricultural labor and anything useful that you are capable of. So this is this is very interesting, something you have to keep in mind. Like we mentioned before, in this communist society, anything and everything that you produce belongs to the people. That includes any idea that you come up with. Your body does not belong to you. Your mind does not belong to you. It belongs to the state, right? In theory, they'll tell you that your labor belongs to the people, but as we've already seen, that there is a state. You can't have communism without the state. It's always part of it. Yeah, so your labor, your mind, your body, and your ideas all belong to the state. All right, so Article 2 says the elderly aged 60 years and the infirm are accepted. All right, so basically, seems that if you are 60 years old or above, you're not allowed, or you don't have to contribute to this new society by means of labor. But I'm actually quite curious if this is like truly the case. Like, even communist societies, they really said, oh, you know what, you old people, 60 years and above, you can just like stay at home and chill out. I'm actually quite curious if this is really the case. I highly doubt they did that in the gulags. Article 3 carries on to say, those citizens who, by the voluntary abandonment of their goods, become members of the national community, will not be forced to submit to any painful labor if they've reached their 40th year, and if they didn't exercise mechanical trade before the publication of the present decree. Okay, so this is actually very interesting. So people who voluntarily became part of this new national community, this communist system, it says they won't be forced to submit to any painful labor if they've reached their 40th year. So if you are younger than 40, you will be submitted to painful labor. So that's I think that's a very important part that people should be reading before they sign up for this new community. Article 4 states, in each commune, the citizens are distributed by class. There are as many classes as useful arts. Each class is composed of those who work in the same art. Okay, so basically, what I gather from this is that if you, let's say you are a farmer. All farmers will be basically, they'll live in the same commune or the same area where they will basically share everything communally. All right, so throughout the nation, basically various parts of the city, I presume, would be divided up into certain communes, and each commune would be for a specific class of workers. For those who maybe do the cooking, or those who do the farming, or maybe doctors, everybody is separated according to what they do. So here we can already see that things are not going to be as free as people originally thought. So the supreme administration, they get to decide where exactly you're going to live and what job you're going to do. Doesn't that sound like fun? Article 5. I think things are starting to get quite interesting here. All right, so Article 5 states, in each class, there are magistrates named by those who compose it. All right, so in theory, basically, in those class communes that we talked about, people basically, they'll vote for someone or a certain amount of people who basically be their leaders within that commune. All right, so they say these magistrates will direct the labor, ensure equal distribution, carry out the orders of the municipal administration, and set an example of zeal and activity. All right, so yes, all right. So basically, they have to make sure that everybody is kept in check. All right, and then they say and make sure that nobody, takes more than their equal share. All right, Article 6 states, for each season, the law determines the duration of the workday for each member of the national community. Aha! Here we can say more freedom. Okay, so you don't get to decide how much or how long you want to work for. If you just want to work 5 hours a day, no, sorry. You have to work what the law dictates. So if the law says you have to work 12 hours a day, sorry, buddy, you're gonna be forced to work 12 hours a day. Again, doesn't that sound like fun, right? So this is the part that communists never tell you about, right? They're always like, oh, freedom, and like, capitalism is evil and free markets are evil, right? In a free market society, you can choose how much you want to work. If you only want to work an hour a day, so be it, okay? You're not going to make a lot of money that way necessarily, but at least you have the freedom to choose how you want to live your life. Under a communist society, sorry, mate, if they say you got to push 16 hours a day, then yeah, there you go, 16 hours a day, right? There's no guarantee that they can't push you as hard as they want. They already admitted that people under 40 years old can be submitted to painful labor, right? And they don't give it a definition of exactly what painful labor means, right? But as the name implies, it's painful. Anyway. All right, carrying on to Article 7. Each municipal administration has a council of elders delegated by each class of laborers. This council enlightens the administration on all that concerns the distribution, the lightening, and the improvement of work. Okay, so again, like you have this like double standard or double speak, I would rather say, of the communists, where they again, they will declare no leaders, kings, yada yada, and yet again we have here that there will be certain leaders and elders who will be in charge of things in this communist system. Right, and then let's carry on to Article 8. The supreme administrations shall apply to the labors of the national community the use of machines and those processes needed to diminish the suffering of men. Okay, so basically the supreme administration, they will basically supply machinery to help alleviate the suffering of men. That is, if they can get a hold of these so-called machinery. Right? Until then, you're just going to have to be submitted to painful labor. Okay, Article 9. So Article 9 says, the municipal administration constantly has before its eyes the state of the laborers of each class, and that of the tasks they must accomplish. It will regularly instruct the supreme administration of this. Okay, so basically just says that they'll basically communicate. The municipal administration will communicate whatever happens with the supreme administration. Nothing too interesting there. Article 10. The movement of laborers from one commune to another is ordered by the supreme administration, according to its knowledge of the strengths and the needs of the community. All right, so basically the supreme administration, they will dictate where you live, right? So if one part of the country has a shortage of, let's say, farmers, or like, let's say a certain type of farmer, those who deal with, like, let's take a stupid example. Let's say those who grow pumpkins, for example. All right, so pumpkin farmers, like if they need you in another part of the country, then you have no choice. You will be moved to that part of the country for the common good. So again, here we go. Like, what kind of freedom is that, right? You're not allowed to have any possessions. Can't make a profit. You don't own your body. You don't own your mind. You don't even own the clothes on your back. You don't even you can't even go and choose where you want to live, right? So this is again the hidden detail, the fine print that they never tell you about, is that they get to order you where you will live and everything that you will do. They control every aspect of your life. Now again, Article 11. This is again a very interesting part. All right, so it states, the supreme administration obliges to work at forced labor those individuals of the two sexes whose lack of civic spirit, idleness, profligacy, and disorders set society a pernicious example. Though their goods are turned over to the national community. Isn't that fascinating, right? Again, here we see what real communism is. Again, more than 200 years old, right? They tell you, communism is freedom and you get to rule over yourself. Complete and utter bullshit, okay? Here we can see Article 11, right? If you are deemed as an individual who, you lack civic spirit, or you're a bit lazy, or, you're a bit negative, you criticize the Supreme Council, right? If you criticize the Supreme Council, you can set a pernicious example, right? So you'll be basically put into forced labor, right? Most likely among other things. So here we can see that this thing that, everything that we've seen communism has produced, like the forced labor camps and, everything we've seen with like Mao and Pol Pot and Lenin and, as the list goes on, you can see that where did they get the ideas from about like forced labor, right? It wasn't like, those are just like isolated cases, man. Like, no. These things are set in the ideology. This isn't some individual, like, going batshit crazy. No, this is what they have planned for everybody in this society, right? If you don't comply and like, just wake up every morning and like, boy, oh boy, I can't wait to participate today in this wonderful society. If you're not like that and like just do everything and sing their praises day in and day out, well, you're going to end up in a forced labor camp, right? And they openly admit it here. Your possessions, if it hasn't already been turned over to the national community, and everything will be taken away.